Good morning, everyone. Chelsea and I are here today. We want to talk to you about some engaging writing strategies that you could use with students that connect to benchmark and the MOI. One quick thing, if you would like Chelsea and I to make a class list for you to quickly see where students are or form quick groups, you could see the graphic right in front of you. We are happy to do this. If you just send us your class list, we'll get it formatted and send it to you. I'm going to refer to these throughout some of the strategies because our hope is that this saves you a bit of time. We know time is the thing we don't have. And so by quickly being able to assess students of where they're at during some of these activities, this might be supportive for you and save you some time. All right, one of the strategies that we wanted to share is called visible thinking. Obviously, this was borrowed from building thinking classrooms, but you do not have to be a building thinking classroom to do this. It's more about the process of this. What makes this really nice is you can find a question or skill in the benchmark resources, put students in groups of 3. One student would have a marker and the other 2 students are supporting them by doing the work of whatever the question is asking. So the first example there with the number 1 is a summary. I know benchmark often asks students to write a summary. In this case, you'll see different markers, so that means the students had different tasks that they had to do. But as a teacher, if you had that around your room in a vertical space, on a whiteboard, on butcher paper, anything like that, you could quickly walk around to each group and see who's doing the thinking, who's doing the writing, and quickly give a formative assessment for that student. The second example we have is a word sort. Benchmark is full of word sorts. This could be a review. This could be the current sort you're working on. And it actually works as a blind sort as well. So if you are asking the students to make the columns and then saying the words, they actually have to think about how is that spelled and which column am I going to put it in. Again, if you're in trios, you have 2 other classmates helping the person that's doing the writing, and then they could switch. And lastly, just a compare and contrast skill. This could look like any of the skills in benchmark, but you can clearly see the students were comparing and contrasting different elements of the story. They put their names at the bottom. So this allows for collaboration, it gets students up and moving, and it's a very fast way for you to visibly see the students thinking and do a formative check around the room. So how might you use that in benchmark? This is a sort directly taken from benchmark. It has the words that you would even say. It tells exactly, like, draw a 3-column note, write this at the top. And then you as the teacher could give the words for the students to do. And that's directly from Unit 4. 5th grade, we took a guided practice question. And it was for figurative language. So this one's like use context clues to figure out what the idiom means. So they would have their student magazines. And again, as a trio, they'd be talking and collaborating and writing down what that means.
Okay, our second strategy is color coding. So many of you have probably used a color coding system for a variety of different ways in all content areas, but specifically in writing, we're going to talk about different ways you could use it to really just represent information visually for your students. So one would be a more traditional with the pen and pencil. So you might have different highlighters, you might be underlining different things. What student doesn't love to use a variety of colors and textures with their markers? The other version of it could be a more digital platform. So again, with like in a Google Doc, you could do the highlighting with your cursor and do the actual text. Or if you're working in an Apple native app, you could even have them annotate or mark up their writing with that different stylus selection as well. If you're thinking about some purposeful revision, you could have them go through their actual writing like individually, or you could even have them pair up and do maybe some peer editing where the partnership has to find where to underline the different color codes that you're picking. So for example, topic, sentence, transitions, we know dialogue can be tricky to find, especially with the punctuation. So just some ideas there. And then really just overall with our goal setting, think about what strengths do we see? What are some areas of improvements that might be needed? So specifically in benchmark, how can I use this? Really with any skills that you see, you can choose whatever you would like, especially thinking of the priority standards that we use daily. But these are the actual anchor charts from your upcoming unit. So You can see 4th grade and 5th grade. And if you want to keep it really simple, just use the color coding system that they already have in place for you, because they are color coded as you see on the screen.
All right, and one last final strategy that we wanted to share with you is called the editing minute. As writers, students should be constantly editing, and sometimes when we wait till that final week, it's rushed or they shut down, whatever. So having an editing minute would mean at the end of your writing time each day or a few times a week, you would have a minute and you could put a timer on the board. And you could do this a couple of ways. As the teacher, you could simply tell the students, all right, boys and girls, today I would like you to specifically edit for your dialogue, make sure the punctuation is correct. You would set the timer, students would go through their writing and only be looking for that specific skill. Another way you could do it is you could have the students have their own kind of list or brainstorm a list as a class, things that a 4th or 5th grade student should know. For example, do we have capital letters at the beginning of sentences? Do we have a varied amount type of sentences? So you could brainstorm a list of 3 or 4 things that you're looking for and have the students pick the one thing that they would like to edit in their minute. Or you could cut the checklist from Benchmark, which I'll show you on the next slide. Okay. These are taken directly from Unit 4 in Benchmark. One's for 4th, one's for 5th. You could cut apart each of those and just have like a bag and pull one out and say, okay, today we're going to be editing, and then it's a specific skill tied directly to their writing, and you don't have to do any extra thinking. I also want to give credit to, this is from the 2 writing teachers. They have a blog, and a link is on our slides, which you can access if you want to read more about how to organize this in your class.
So overall, we really want you to see that engaging students in writing and connecting it to our model of instruction is really a seamless flow. So if we think about where visible thinking, color coding, editing minute, where those 3 strategies could fit into our model of instruction, really it's across the board, but we highlighted 2 areas that we thought might call it out specifically. So thinking in terms of content, using strategies that appear in all types of lessons. So really previewing strategies, reviewing strategies, the reflection piece, and really organizing students to interact. It touches on all of them. Thinking in context, really just using engagement strategies across the board. Again, all 3 of them could fall into this, and it's nothing that we want you to walk away of saying like, wow, this is brand new to me. It's more of reaffirming what you're already doing and maybe just taking it one step further, or bringing up something that you've done in the past and really energizing your students with that, and maybe connecting to some new learning, which is always our hope for kids. So thank you so much for watching this today. And again, if you'd like to send us your name, we can get you those quick data collection pieces sent to you. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.